The best place to start under any circumstances, unless there's a mandate, policy and procedure, state mandate, federal mandate, that you've got to, say, go to HR about harassment, for example, hostile work environment, sexual harassment. I mean, there's specific things you can't sit on, you have to report. Unless there's some rule or policy telling you that you have to report to a certain person on a certain timeline and in a certain way. The place to start is with an informal conversation. Tap that person on the shoulder, literally or figuratively, and say, hey, I think I see you doing this over here. Help me understand that, because I don't think that's how we're supposed to be doing things. Now, again, in theory, that sounds fine, but most of us, like I say, can think of 500 horrible sounding things we would do before we would have that conversation. So here are the three motivators that I find carry the greatest weight with the greatest number of people as reasons to have that conversation. Number one, we do hear an awful lot of things by rumor and innuendo. A lot of stuff that is just frankly out of context. And if you have that conversation informally, that person has a chance to say, well, gosh, actually, no, that's not what I'm doing at all. Let me tell you what I'm actually doing. And you get to clear the air and say there's really not an issue. And that person, whether it's comfortable for them or not, gets to understand there's some kind of reputational issue that they have, or their department has, or their organization has, and they can try and manage that in whatever way they best can. And they don't have the information to do that unless you have that informal conversation with them. Number two, there are all kinds of people out there in the world doing all kinds of unbelievably inappropriate things in exactly the way in which they were trained. And sometimes that person is us, right? And if we have that informal conversation, it gives the other person a chance to say, well, actually, yeah, that's what I'm doing, and here's why we're supposed to be doing it. And we find out, however unnerving it may be, that we're the ones that didn't get the memo, and we're not going to get that feedback unless we have that conversation. The third reason, and this may be the one that has the greatest sense of, is cogency a word? I think it is. The greatest sense of cogency, if not, it should be a word, for the greatest number of people, is, if nothing else gets you there, this is one of those places where the golden rule just works. If someone had a concern about your behavior, or your department's behavior, or your division's behavior, or your entire organization's behavior, would you rather that they talked about it around the water cooler, in the next office or across town, which is what happens 90-something% of the time, or do you rather they came to you and tapped you on the shoulder and had that conversation, however awkward that conversation might be, and gave you a chance to explain yourself or find out what the issue is and resolve whatever they perceive the issue to be, rightly or wrongly? If it's just out there in the world, in the rumor and innuendo circle, it's killing your reputation, right? And you don't have a chance to even know there's a problem, let alone correct a problem, or let people know there's really not a problem and here's how come. All of that stuff gets solved if you have that informal conversation. And my thought is, most of us, given the choice, if the choice was to have that informal conversation or have it out there around the water cooler or spreading around town, around the company, we would much rather that other person came to us, however uncomfortable that conversation might be. And if we would want them to do that for us, it just seems to me we owe that to other people as well.